Hi, athletes. Jenny Ash here from Outer Banks Sporting Events. Coming to you from the office here where we usually are planning heavily for events right now. As we are in this climate, we, as many race organizations, are going virtual with our recent events and the ones in the near future. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about what a virtual version of our upcoming triathlon would look like. We did go virtual with our half marathon weekend that happens in April, the Flying Pirate, but a running only event is certainly a little bit more simplified in terms of how and what and where to do it. So let's take a look at how we're going to go virtual with the Outer Banks Triathlon slotted for September. So you might ask, why would you even go virtual instead of just canceling the event or deferring, which you certainly have the option to do for the following year. However, we all want to stay in tune with our training goals, keeping our physical and mental stress levels in check, and what do we have control over? So in these weird times, we want to keep focusing on the positives that keep us moving and keep us on the path to our goal that we had set previous to all this action with the pandemic. So in these times, these things are important. These virtual races provide more camaraderie than you would think. Along with other virtual racers, you feel the connection. We typically have a lot of post-race photo contests and things like that that'll happen, planned for just keeping the community connected, even though we're not together in the start corrals and on the race course. And just like in training, we don't want to cancel, we just make adaptations, right? So we want to adapt to having the hard work you're putting in this hot summer to pay off for an actual event, even though it's going to look quite different. Maintaining that sense of accomplishment is huge. So that is sort of the end point to what you're all putting in, and hopefully your training's going well, but you still want that race event at the end. And then, of course, helping organizations of our size and races in general to stay on the calendars and continue to produce events as we move forward through these times of uncertainty. So there's some good reasons, and you may have several of your own, which we hope will, forge into getting through this virtual time and back to live racing. So what exactly does a virtual race look like, especially in the form of a triathlon? So you're going to complete the distance that you choose. So if you've signed up for our triathlon already, you're going to take that to a virtual level. And the bonus is, in terms of, some plus sides, is that you can do your race where you are, choose your own course with the resources that you have close by, or go somewhere that's out of the way, off the beaten path, and take advantage of maybe another area of nature that you can participate your race in. So racing at the chosen time of day that you prefer, if you'd like to sleep in, or if you have a certain time of day that just works better for you than the typical race time early in the morning, that's always a plus for you. Having the whole month of September to choose your race day. So we are asking that it's a consecutive series in the same day. However, we are spanning the event date, September 1 through September 30. So that helps with planning with weather and things that might come into play, and real life and all those things. Of course, you can plan your perfect post-race celebration. If you don't like the food that a race, here's your time to plan your own and put on your celebration with your friends and family and your support crew. And of course, you'll still get the great swag, even though it's a virtual race. So we will send you your items, and we keep connected throughout. So first thing is, you're going to have to know your distance. So again, you may have signed up already for the live event prior to or anytime after the last year's event. And if that's the case, you're going to sort of already know your distance. But if you're a new registrant in the virtual triathlon, then here's what we have going on. So you're going to know this before race day. So what we offer for the triathlon, and in the live version, we have all these that can transfer right to virtual. So the sprint triathlon, for example, is a 750-meter swim, a 12.5-mile bike, and a 5K run. So that doubles for the Olympic. And then, so 1,500 meter swim, 24.5 mile bike, and 10K run. And then the half is a 1.2 mile swim, 56 miles on the bike, and a half marathon or 13.1 miles run. And then for those of you that aren't fans of the run, or maybe you've signed up or didn't know about and it appeals to you, the Aqua Bike is any of those distances available with just dropping the run. So it's swim, bike, and you're done, instead of swim, bike, and you got to run. So, and then this year we have a duathlon that unfortunately we can't execute live, but it is a new addition that you can test the waters, or lack of water, I should say. But you can test out the duathlon with the bike in the middle of 2 runs. So it's a 5K run, 30K bike, and that's about 18.5 miles, a little more, maybe 18.6, I think it is. So 5K run, 30K bike, 5K run. So know your distance ahead of time. That may affect where you're going to put the course together, and that gives you options for your setup and how you're going to track and plan, especially with transitions in between. So how will you track your time and distance? So most people today, whether they're competitive or athletes or not, have some sort of smartwatch. So if you don't have one and you're sort of grassroots when you race and train, then you could probably borrow one from somebody. So using a smartwatch or a GPS or a run app on your phone, such as Strava or Runkeeper, there's many of those out there. Map My Run will be a good tracker for you. But if you don't have a device such as those, you can map and measure ahead of time. In the old days, we used to just drive it by car and map it out. So there's a lot of ways you can go into it already knowing your turnaround and all those things. So yeah, using a 1/4 mile track at the local school or anything like that, or laps in a pool are very measurable, of course. So if you choose to upload your unofficial results, so what it's going to be with your results, there's a way to upload results. And even though somebody may be, you know, running in a very hilly area, their terrain could be totally different from somebody that's in a very flat region. So with that said, the results are uploadable, and we'll have some contests to see where you fell or placed with others that uploaded the results, but it's not required. So you will get your swag, your shirt, your medal, all those things mailed to you as long as you're officially registered for the virtual tribe. But in order to upload results, or as a result of uploading everything, you'll have more contestability. So we'll choose from uploaded results for prizes. So it's more like door prizes and such versus actual age group awards and those things, just because of the way things will play out, and we're not together in the same level playing field. So the swim portion comes first in a triathlon, typically open water. Unless you've done an indoor triathlon, then you'll know that you can do laps in a pool. If you do a pool swim, of course, it's a little bit more measurable and safe, especially as far as we're concerned. A lot of swimming pools have not been open. That is a little bit of a precursor to the training piece too for all of us. If you have access to an outdoor public swimming pool, or maybe even one that's big enough in somebody's yard or something that would facilitate your swim, then you can record there with a smartwatch again, or if you have a support person in any of the legs, but the swim, they could record your laps. And then if you plan to upload your results for entering contests and things like that, then there will be the requirement of a photo of your support person with your distance and time showing verification of that. So that would be what you would upload if you don't have a shot of a Garmin or something like that. Open water. So typically our triathlon is in the Sound here in the Outer Banks. If you have an open body of water that's nearby and you're familiar with, and you've been swimming in it, it is of course an option for you. But mind you, the race day obviously has lifeguards, kayakers, boats, stand-up paddle boards, medic on site. So without those things, we certainly prefer you in a pool, but those are limited. So with whatever resources you have available to you, make your best choice according to your comfort level. But especially in the open water, we really want you to have a support person there, a buddy to either watch you if you swim along the shore. More and more triathletes and open water swimmers are taking advantage of what is called a swim buoy. So it straps around your waist and it floats behind you, and it's something you can grab onto if you're fatigued. And it's also a great visual for somebody that's watching you from the shore to make sure they see that bright bubble behind you. So just someone to oversee your safety, really, in either place, especially open water. So next is the bike portion. You've got a couple options there too. You know, the indoor bike, of course, is again a safe mode of getting those miles in. You can complete that on maybe a smart trainer or a trainer you have at your house that you put your bike on, Peloton or any indoor bike, obviously along with the pool situation. A lot of gyms are closed, at least in our area. And so resources are limited. So any combination of these things we're talking about would work. We're certainly welcoming a lot of adaptation because of the way things are. But anything that tracks your distance on a bike will count. So if you're gonna jump on an outdoor bike and just go outside, then try to simulate the race course. You know, if you're in a hilly area, you probably have a disadvantage because we're pretty flat here, although we typically take you over a very windy bridge, and the wind in general here gets you one way. So, you know, just do your best to simulate the race course here if you can. We want it to be as true to the experience as possible. If you're going to be riding outdoors, we prefer, of course, that you're on a trail or somewhere there's not crazy traffic. Follow all traffic rules as always, and you know, it doesn't hurt to recruit some folks to ride with you, whether they sign up for the race or not. The safety comes in numbers, as you know, with any road biking especially. So that would be recommended. So there are transitions obviously in between each leg of a triathlon. The transition times don't count in this situation, at least as far as we're concerned, because of that same inequity of logistics and course. What we do want to keep, again, are the 3 events are consecutive in the same day or time of day. The only stipulation would be we're trying to keep 5 minutes in between the bike and the run leg. So if you're going to swim open water or swim in a pool, there's a good chance you may have to get in a car and drive to where you're going to bike and run on some trails or whatever situation you organize. It's most likely that you're not going to just jump out of the water and jump right on your bike sitting there because of the limitations with the swim. So we're asking or allocating 5 minutes in between the bike and the run segments. And then again, as much time as needed between the swim and the bike portions. So, you know, you could have somebody watch your stuff, of course, however you organize it. But because you may have to swim in a pool and get somewhere else or open water and it's not safe to ride and run around there, whatever the logistical snapshot is of where you are executing your race would lend itself to a lot of different scenarios. So again, any amount of time after the swim, and then between the bike and run portion, we're asking that it's 5 minute transition time. And sorry for you awesome transitioners that are, you know, less than a minute, but you know, that's going to be back when we're live. You'll shine there. And then remember to record your time for each leg if you plan to upload your results. And then of course that does not matter as much if you don't plan to upload your results. So that final run portion can take place with a couple different looks to it also. So a treadmill, if you have one at home, or if your gym's open and you prefer that. The treadmill is obviously a good choice, measurable right on the machine and all that stuff. A snapshot of that is cool. Your favorite path, shaded or not, or if you want to run in the woods versus a trail where you see a lot of people in action on the weekends. Or your local track is very measurable and forgiving and favorite for some folks. And yeah, so you can out and back or map your turnaround ahead of time, and then that'll help. So any of those options for the run portion. And again, so since this is very atypical, not only because we're not joining each other live, but because there is a lot of change in our communities and things like that with how we were able to prepare. So if you were not quite able to get to water or pool access. Maybe COVID aside, maybe you are injured or not feeling the heat of the summer, and your training hasn't been what you planned it to be. So here's some adaptations, and most anything that you feel is fine, or if you want to ask us, fire away. We can be contacted, and we have some email addresses at the end here. But a paddleboard, stand-up paddleboard, anything that's going to use the upper body as a swim stroke can be substituted. So if you like stand-up paddleboarding, or if you want to row indoors at a rowing machine, which may or may not be accessible, but it's an option. So those type of things can be interjected where the swim would go in that first leg. So that'll get you warmed up just as well, hopefully. And so events still must be consecutive. If you make these adaptations, we still want that just in place of the swim with that sort of relatively unlimited time until you bike and run and do the next thing. And then that next transition between the bike and run, we would like to have the 5-minute max. So take as much time as needed between the paddle or the row and the bike, and then just like the swim, due to the venue and logistics, that's allowed. Another option, if maybe you have a slight injury that has kept you from running, the aqua bike is in place for each of the distances, and that is basically just omitting the run from either the sprint, the ollie, or the half. So that's definitely an option, transferable at any time in registration. And then same guidelines apply for that time in between. So if you're just doing a swim and a bike, you can sort of take that whatever time you need to get your bike rolling and get that leg going. So, and then duathlon. We have not had this in the past, but it's a new addition. All 3 segments done consecutively again, and then the 5 minutes between the legs. And this is all on the honor system, so we certainly, you know, aren't going to track you down, but certainly want you as well to keep a minimum of your time taken and keep that hustle going for your virtual race, as if people were watching and the time clock was running here live in the Outer Banks. So with those changes possibly looming out there, and just wanting to create a race that's doable and safe and in tune with what you've prepared for, the ability to make changes to your actual division. So if you're already signed up, you can go right in and make changes to what race you are participating in virtually. So myevents.active.com, or your original confirmation email you got from registration has My Events, and you can go in there and easily transfer to, say you signed up for the Olympic and now you want to do the Olympic aqua bike, or say your training's going gangbusters and you signed up for the sprint and you now want to do a virtual half with some friends in your neighborhood. So those type of toggling back and forth options are there, and that's sort of in your account. So again, look up your search for your original confirmation email, or go to myevents.active.com, and when you get in your account, then you can make those changes to the race of your choice. And if you need any help with that, if there's anything funky, sometimes there's things that aren't clear, or we assume that it's simple and maybe it's not for everyone, please email us at info@obxse.org on the screen there on the bottom, and we will be glad to help you. So another thing we want to promote, and because of looking at the silver lining of the virtual race option, we want to extend the wish that you have your kids involved. So with the school announcements, at least here in North Carolina, that it's going to be at least 9 weeks of virtual schooling. Those type of things affect kids and how they mentally react and perform each day. So an hour out of the house or the normal or anything like that, especially as school starts. Our schools start pretty soon here. The movement that's injected into their day, even if they're just sort of going along with you for a bike ride or a portion of your training run or any of those things, even if they're not officially registered, we really encourage you to remember the kids, bring them out with you, and maybe spark the love of the sport. And when y'all come back live in 2021, they may be on the race course themselves. So technically, our Outer Banks Triathlon is a adult event. There's separate categories for youth events. And this one is technically 14 and above, so an adult event. However, if you have a child that you want to register and get the swag and all that stuff, and they are less than 14 years old, please email us at info@obxse.org again, and we can, on a case-to-case basis, if you're going to be with them or if they're a good swimmer, you know, those things we just need to feel out for the safety overall of things. So we'd be glad to chat with you about getting them going officially and registered. However, if not, and you just want to use this as a way to draw your kids out and expose them to the swim, the bike, and or the run, and just participate with you in your training, that would be fantastic. That's what it's all about. That's what we're doing here as an organization, is trying to get people moving more than they are. So that's awesome if you would do that. What about the goodies, right? So virtual versus live, there's a lot of goodies you get when you come to an event live. You know, you get the social aspect, you get a band, sometimes you get after party, beer, food, all those things that are not present. You have to create them for yourself. So what we do have to reward you and things like that are not quite the exact same. So I did mention that post-race, we're going to have a lot of community pulled together with photo sharing, online contests, and like after the Flying Pirate Half Marathon weekend, we did a week long of different categories and photo sharing and prize giving and all that stuff. So it's really great to draw back in the racers together as if you were here all in one shot in the Outer Banks and here together in person. But without that being the case, and with no live races really going on, this is sort of what we are morphing into for the hopefully the shorter term. But anybody that's officially registered for the virtual 2020 Outer Banks Triathlon will receive a printable bib prior to, finisher medal, finisher shirt, and cool finisher swag, which will leak out soon here with some photos of what we're planning to give everybody. And yeah, so the other stuff is after. And within that whole month of September that you have to complete, then after September 30th is when we'll get all the stuff ready and rolling out in the mail. So based on all that, we hope that quantifies you doing your race on your own, and then especially the camaraderie that is generated after the race when we all get to reporting and photo sharing and all those things. Really helps keep it you know, glad that you did it, and feeling that sense of accomplishment, which you could just sort of roll away from because the race is not live. But we're doing the next best thing and getting everybody out there on their own terms. So again, we thank you so much for sticking with us. We'll try again next year, and we hope your training is going wonderfully. We hope you have an awesome, safe triathlon out there, and please contact us with any questions or help you need in either making things more clear or adapting your race to what you want it to be. And we'll get through all this, and we will get back to getting together in person for a real event as soon as we can. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Happy training.